those who already joined, um, how many of you have done the assignment that I have given in the last class? Anybody? I have given 2 tasks as assignment for linear regression algorithm. Yes, how many of you have done? If anybody does, please acknowledge me through chat. Yes, anybody? Nobody are responding. Hmm? Nobody are responding. Okay, tell me any doubts so far? Am I audible? Nobody are responding. Seems. Am I audible or not? Am I audible? Okay, good. Okay. Seems very less people have joined. Okay, let us start. Let them join. Okay. Why? Because today we are starting a very new topic. Uh, as regression is completed, today we are going to start classification. Okay, which is very important. That means this is another type of supervised learning. So far we have started supervised learning in that we have completed the first phase, that is a regression problem. Okay, Now we are at classification problem. These two will come under the supervised learning concept. Okay. So as I already told you, the classification is a one type of supervised learning. Okay, supervised learning in the sense the data set will be provided along with inputs and outputs. Okay, so according to the learning model, it will identifies the quotient, the required quotients for um, all the data points in the given data set, such that they will be fitted for the respective given outputs. That is supervised learning. So what this classification specifies actually? So the classification specifies generally the particular class to particular data elements. Okay, and these class reflects the discrete values. This class will reflects the finite and discrete values. That means if I have three categories, for example, I have three categories and I have 150 examples, for example. I have 150 examples and three categories. Now each and every example should be in one of these three categories. Okay, that is what discrete class. Okay, discrete class values. So whenever you want to predict a class for a given input variable, this classification is used. Generally, classification is used to predict the label for a given example or for a given input value or a given for a given input data. Okay, class means whether it is true or false, whether it is yes or no, in terms of binary classifiers. Okay, as we have two types of classification. One is binomial classification, which is also called as a binary classification. The another one is a multi-class classification. We already discussed in introduction to machine learning slides that we have two types of discrete values in the classification data. What type of what kind of discrete values? Those discrete values may belongs to two classes, or those discrete values may belongs to two or more classes. If I am saying that they are belongs to only two classes, means that is called as a binary classification. If the output belongs to more than two classes, then it is called as a multi-class classification. Okay. So we have different types of classification algorithms. Okay. Logistic regression, k-nearest neighbor, naive-based classifier, decision tree, random forest, support vector machine, and stochastic gradient descent. Okay. Generally, if you want to evaluate a large amount of examples, for example, if you want to evaluate lakhs and lakhs of examples with the given hardware infrastructure, if you want to perform this kind of classification algorithm, generally the stochastic gradient descent has been used. So each and every algorithm has some specification. For example, if you take this logistic regression and support vector machines, these two are generally used for binary classification. Okay, which is very important in when you are attending interviews for any companies. This question may ask. Okay, list the different types of classification algorithms. Means these are the classification algorithms that we have in machine learning. In this, if you want me to tell the categories of these classifiers, in this logistic regression and support vector machines are the binary classifiers. Okay, so if you give any number of features or any number of examples, logistic regression and support vector machine or classifiers will lead those examples, okay, to either of two classes. Okay, generally logistic regression will have some limited features, but support vector machine may have any number of features. That's why this support vector machine is also called as a high dimensional classifier. Okay, your input data may contains 2 columns, 4 columns, 10 columns, 20 columns, even 30 columns. Okay, irrespective of number of columns, support vector machine will predict that particular data example as belongs to either class 1 or class 2. Okay, So irrespective of number of features, the support vector machine will be acting as a only binary classifier. Logistic regression is also as a binary classifier, but it has only limited features when compared to support vector machine. Okay, so if you have large number of features and you are supposed to classify only 2 classes, then you better go for support vector machine. Okay, due to time being, we are not discussing all the classifiers. Okay, I am discussing only k nearest neighbor. Naive-based classifier, decision tree, and random forest are multi-class classifiers. In industries now, it is mainly used classifier is random forest classifier. So better all of you know this random forest classifier by through net or any other material. Why? Because at present the industries are using this classifier. If you want to learn random forest classifier, first you have to learn what is a decision tree classifier. Without decision tree, you cannot understand random forest. Okay, decision tree generally construct a tree for the given training examples. Okay, as I already told you, for example, if I have 200 data examples in my data set, I will divide my data set in as a 80% training set and 20% testing set. 80% training set means what? How many examples will come? 160 examples, right? So 160 example, when decision tree is going to evaluate all these 160 training examples, by converging all those 160 examples, the decision tree will construct a tree in the training phase, and it will predict the future data. Okay, so if you have number of such decision trees, that will comes under random forest. We cannot say that one training phase contains only one possible decision tree. You can construct any number of decision trees. Okay, all these decision trees will comes under the random forest classifier. So naive-based classifier generally predicts the probability of the class. Okay, probably this may belongs to this class. So base classification generally will be done based on the probability of the class. Okay, so this is about the different types of classification algorithms. So for time being, I'm not explaining all the in-depth of all the classification algorithms. I'm going only for k nearest neighbor classifier. So this is how the data points are represented. Okay, generally KNN classifiers say that, for example, here we have so many data points. This is one example and this is another example. Treat this left side example as example 1 and right side example as example 2. So this algorithm generally evaluates all the data points for the closingness or the close proximity. That means it will identify which 2 points are similar to each other or which set of points are similar to each other. According to that, the class label is going to be predicted. Okay. So in other words, similar things are near to each other. The KNN algorithm hinges on the assumption being true enough for the algorithm to be useful. For example, once all of you look into this example 1, so we have so many data points over here. For example, I want to predict the label for this. Okay, let me copy this in the Paint. So for that, then you'll be more clarity, beyond the more clarity. Okay. So for example, let us take this example 1. So here my aim is to predict the label of this point. Predict the label of this point. There is only 2 labels are possible, either red label or green label. It's something like sounding like tea companies, right? So one is either red label or green label. Now our aim is, what is the label for this point which I have rounded now? Which I have rounded, I want to predict the label for this example. But it is red color. Why? Because if I consider 3 nearest neighbors, okay, if I consider 3 nearest neighbors, out of 3 nearest neighbor, 2 red points are nearer to this and only 1 green point is nearer to this. Have you observed? Yes. If you have any doubt, stop me here. Stop me and you can ask me the doubt. Okay. Okay. Here, if you consider all these data points, we have only two types of labels. One is green, red label, another is green label, right? So now I want to predict the label for this rounded example. Here it is red color. Why it is red color? I have considered only three nearest neighbors. Out of three nearest neighbors, okay, out of three nearest neighbors, two red neighbors are nearer and one green neighbor is nearer. So in this case, as the majority of the nearest neighbor is red, then this label is red. Are you following or not? Yes? Any doubts here? Please acknowledge through chat. Out of the three nearest neighbors I have taken, two red neighbors are there closely and one green neighbor is there. But there is a majority for red neighbors. That is why this point label has been predicted as red. If I apply, yeah, out of here so many data points are there, right? So I want to predict the label for this point, which I am currently pointing the mouse there. Here I want to predict the label for this point. Okay. And I'm considering three nearest neighbors. Three nearest neighbors. Three nearest neighbor means this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Okay. We have three nearest neighbors. Out of three nearest neighbors, okay. Surya Manisha, tell me, out of three nearest neighbor, which neighbors has the, how many neighbors have red color and how many neighbors have green color? Surya Manisha, tell me, how many neighbors have red color and how many neighbors have green color? Two red, one green, right? So what is the majority? What is the majority? Which color has majority? So red color, right? So for this example, the red label will be given. Why? Because as you only said, red has the majority. So it has been given the red label. For example, if you consider the same set of points in the right side, this time I'm considering 5 nearest neighbors. Okay. Here it is 3 nearest neighbor, but this time it is 5 nearest neighbors. Am I right? In this 5 nearest neighbors, out of 5 nearest neighbors, majority is there for which color? Can anybody tell me through chat? Out of 5, how many green points are there and how many red points are there? Please acknowledge through chat. 3 green, 2 red. Majority? Then what is the majority color? Majority color green, right? So what will be the label? What will be the label? So green. Am I right? Now you understand. All of you. Now you understand. Like that, the k nearest neighbor classifier will evaluate the model like that. Okay? Am I clear? For understanding this clearly, let us do an example. Okay? All of you, please open your Jupyter notebook. All of you, please open your Jupyter notebook. We will do an example on k nearest neighbor classifier. First of all, tell me, is that clear? Algorithm is clear? All of you? Algorithm is clear, right? Now let us implement a practical example such that you will have a clear picture about this algorithm. Okay? Excuse me. All of you, please start your Jupyter notebooks. Okay. Now open a new Python 2 notebook. Let me rename this KNN example. KNN example. Today's date is 24/6/2020. Okay. Now I want to create a markdown. The first step is importing data sets from internet. Okay, no need to have data set in your system. We can import from internet. Okay, as we have internet, so no problem. Okay, so I want to, okay, let me maximize the screen. From sklearn, import data sets. From sklearn, import data sets. So if you want to execute this instruction, internet is enough. No need to have a data sets in your machines. No need of data sets in your machine. Okay, just need to have internet. That's it. Now I want to import some packages. Import required packages. Okay, that is, I want to import pandas as PD, and I want to import numpy as np, and I want to import matplotlib.pyplot as plt, and I want to display all the graphs in the notebook itself. That's why I'm making this matplotlib inline, and I want to put a style for my plots as ggplot. Okay. Now the next step is, what we want to do is load the data sets. Load the data sets. Load the data set. Load the iris data set. I'll tell you what is. How many of you have heard about the word called iris? Iris generally it represents some set of flowers. Okay, I want to classify some set of flowers. Those flowers are classified based on the petal length, petal width, sepal length, and sepal width. For every flower, there are two major constraints will be there. That is sepal and petal. Sepal will have length and width, and petal will also have length and width. Based on the sepal length and width and petal length and width, we are going to classify a particular flower species. Okay, that is why I'm going to load the data set that contains all such kind of flowers. Okay, so first load that data set, that is iris is equal to datasets dot load underscore iris. Okay, load underscore iris. Now what I want to do is explore the iris data. So first let us print what is the type of iris. So it is a bunch of data sets. Okay, it is a Sklearn data set bunch. This bunch, this is particular bunch. Okay, this bunch reflects all the flower species, all the flower species. Okay. Now your data set, only the flower data set there in your instance called iris. Okay. Now let us study some more statistics for this iris. Okay. Now I want to print iris dot keys. So what are the keys we have? Target names, data, target, description, and feature names. Okay, I'll tell you what are these. Target names means labels. Data means I told you the what are petals and sepals. Petals and sepals will comes under data, and the labels will comes under target names. Name of the label will comes under feature names. Okay, and the target means output. Okay. Description means description about the particular flower. So no need of this in our machine, in our workbook now. No need of this. We will discuss about the remaining 4. Okay. So to understand, let us first print the what is there in the iris.data. Okay. We have 4. We have so many input examples where each example contains 4 values. Are you observing? Each example contains 4 values where each value, 2 values will represent about petal and 2 values will represent about a sepal. Okay, out of 4. Like that, every 4 features will constitute one example. Like that, we have so many examples. Each example will represent a particular flower. Okay. Now I want to print what is that type of iris.data. It is a n-dimensional array. See, if you see what kind of data it is a 2-dimensional array. If you observe, it is represented as list of lists. It is a list of lists. List of lists is also called as an n-dimensional array. Now let us see what is the target. Iris.target. See, we have 3 types of labels only. Okay, either 0, 1, 2. These are inputs and these are outputs. Each input contains 4 features, and we have number of inputs here, and these are the outputs. How many types of outputs are there? Can anybody acknowledge through chat? Excuse me. How many? 3 labels, right? So 3 outputs. So we can call them as a 3 labels. Okay. Yeah, Chandrasekhar Jilludi, you have a very good question. What if both red and green are equal in equal? Then what will be the label? Generally, we will consider odd number of neighbors. Okay. Then election is very simple. So all these examples may have the label as either 0, 1, or 2. Can anybody tell me? This data set belongs to either binary class or multi-class? This is a question for you. This data set represents a binary class or multi-class? Multi-class. Very good. So you understand. Very good. Very good. So we have 3 labels, means it is a multi-class data set. So now let us print the type of iris dot target. So it is also an array, n-dimensional array. Okay. Now let us print the shape. Okay. Let us print the shape of iris dot data. So here, first argument represents how many examples are there. Okay. And second argument represent how many columns are there for each example. Okay. Generally, I can say that it is a 150 by 4 double dimensional matrix. 150 by 4 double dimensional matrix. What is the meaning of that? We have 150 rows and 4 columns, where each row represents one example, and every row contains 4 columns. Like that, we have 150 rows and 4 columns. Here also, I can also say that I have 150 examples, where each example have 4 features. Is that clear? Similarly, I want to print the target shape also. It has only 150 rows. These are 150 individual values. Okay. This 0 belongs to the first example output, and this 0 belongs to the second example output. This 0 belongs to the third example output, like that. Am I clear? Now what you have to do is, I want to check the shape of the target. So it has only 150 values, okay, but there is no columns for it. Now let us print what are the target names. Iris dot target underscore. So we have 3 species. Okay, Setosa, versicolor, and virginica. Okay, so 0 label represents Setosa. Okay, label 0, this is a target, and this is the target name. There is a difference is there. Okay, here I am saying it is a target. 0, 1, 2 will comes under target. Setosa, versicolor, virginica will comes under target names. Okay, some difference is there. So let us assume that 0 represents Setosa, 1 represents versicolor, and 2 represents virginica. These are the 3 types of flower species. Three types of flower species. Now let us import the classifier. Now I want to import the k nearest neighbor, k nearest neighbors classifier. Okay. For that, what I'll do is, I'll import from sklearn dot neighbors import k nearest neighbors classifier. K nearest, sorry, this k neighbors classifier. This k neighbors classifier. Okay. Now what I'll do is, let me configure the data. Okay. Before preparing the training data and testing data, let us first configure the data. Okay. Configure the data for model. So for that, what I'll do is, I'll take input as X, where my input is represented as iris dot data, and Y is my iris dot target. Okay, I have finalized input and output. Input is what? Iris.data. Iris.data and enti? These rows. Okay, iris.target means these labels. So I have given iris.data as input and iris.target as the output. Now what I want to do is I want to first construct a data frame. Okay, let me give a comment here. Construct a data frame for inputs and outputs. So I want to construct a data frame. For that, df is equal to pd dot data frame of capital X comma columns is equal to, I want to give columns as feature names. Okay, iris dot feature names. Okay, and I want to give target a new I want to create a new column called target, and I want to assign the value of y. Now let me check my data created data frame. You understand? So we have sepal length, sepal width, and petal length and petal width. Our aim is, according to the sepal length and width and petal length and width, you are supposed to identify the label of that particular flower. Label of that particular flower. Initially, we are preparing the data set for it. From this data set, I am going to divide training data set and testing data set. For example, if you want to observe the correlation between these values, okay, that is, I want to give a mark down here. Studying the configured data, configured and constructed data graphically. So for that, what I want to do is, I want to write pd dot scatter underscore matrix, whose that is data frame is I'm passing the data frame where c is equal to y, and my figure size is equal to 8,8 and marker is equal to d. So in order to study the data graphically, I am constructing the graphical data in order to study the correlation between various columns. So this is how the correlation has been happened. Okay. So I want to observe how the sepal length and sepal length are going to vary, means all these bar charts will give you the correlation between the same columns. Okay. For example, here I have target and I'm correlating with the target again. That's why I have here bar charts are there. For petal width and petal width, bar charts are there. For petal length and petal length, bar charts are there. So when you are correlating same columns, you will have a bar charts. And if you are correlating different columns, then you'll have a scatter diagrams. So this is the distribution of the values when you compare with if you consider any two columns. Okay. So where the distribution is close here, this is the closed distribution, this is closed distribution. Here you can observe three types of colors here: green color, magenta color, and blue color, where each color represent each type of flower species. Okay, this is how the examples are distributed. Now let us create training data set and testing data sets. So I want to create markdown. Creating training and testing data sets. So here I want to give a training data set as, let me write one more specification. Training set, I want to give 80%, and testing set, I want to give 20%. Okay. So how many examples are there? We have 150 examples are there. We have totally 150 examples are there. Out of 150, what is the 80%? $120 examples training set. That means the remaining 30 examples comes under testing set. So how to divide it? I can divide like this. X underscore train is equal to df dot ILOC square brackets 0 to 120 and 0 to 4. What is the meaning of this? Here in the square brackets, we have two types of arguments. Okay. The first argument represents how many rows you are selecting. How many rows you are selecting. The second argument represents how many columns you are selecting. So here, what is the meaning of this? If I am selecting from the 0 to 120 means it will select the row that are indices from 0 to 119. It includes the lower level, but it won't include the upper level. So from 0, what is the meaning of this? From the starting row, you want to select 120 rows. The starting row 0, you are selecting 120 rows. So what will be the index of last row? That is 119. Am I right? Similarly, how many columns you want to take? 0 to 4. This 4 will not be included. Then what will be the columns that will be included? 0, 1, 2, 3. Means what? These 4 columns will be included in all the 120 examples. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 will not be included as the upper limit will not be included. It includes the columns only from 0 to 3. So 0 to 3 means what? It includes sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. That's all. It won't include the target. So if you want to have a training input, then you have to give the training output also. That is df dot ILOC. I want to select 122, sorry, 0 to 120. I want to select only 4th column. That's it. Okay. Now I'm keeping all outputs now. All 120 outputs in Y and all 120 inputs in X. Those are termed as a training data. Similarly, I want to configure testing data also. So that for that, what I will do is df.ILOC 120 to 150, 0 to 4. Similarly, Y underscore test, which is equal to df.ILOC, that is 0 to 1, sorry, 120 to 150, that is 4. You understand? All of you? Any doubts? Any doubts? Please ask me. If you have any doubts, you can raise, no problem. Yeah. So here what I want to do is I want to divide my data set into training data and testing data, right? So how many examples are there in my data set? 150 examples, right? So out of 150, 80% means 120 examples. Am I right? Okay. So if I say this df.ILOC, ILOC is nothing but index slicing, index based slicing. So what I want to do here is defining df. Data frame. Df means data frame that I already created, right? Here, see, you have constructed a data frame for the given columns and target. This is your data frame. Your data frame contains 150 records. Out of 150 records, I'm making 120 records as my training set and 30 records as my testing set. Why? Because 80% of 150 is 120 and 20% of 150 is 30. So here ILOC means, yeah, that is possible, but that is possible in Anaconda 3. Here I'm taking sequential data, not random data here. Yes, possible. I'm not saying it is not possible. Possible, but it is Anaconda 2, right? So we have to do like this only. So here, 0 to 120 means it selects 120 rows. 0 to 4 means it selects 4 columns. For all 120 rows, it selects 4 columns as the training set. Okay. Totally, we have 5 columns in the data frame, but it selects only 4 columns. Why? Because they will be configured as a input. The last column is output. So that the same thing will should be happen for both training data set and testing data set. Now I want to create the model. Let us create the model. Okay. So that is KNN is equal to K neighbors classifier. So here I have to mention how many neighbors also. Okay. For example, number of neighbors is 6. Otherwise, let us take 3 neighbors. Okay. I want to select 3 neighbors. Now I want to fit this model to my training data first. X underscore train minus Y underscore train. So your model has been successfully built on the training data. Okay. Now if you want to check the accuracy of it, then you have to check it through testing data only. Am I right? 76% is the accuracy of your model. So if I supply 30 examples, supply 30 examples for validation, it is giving only 76% correctly. So 30 out of 30, how much is the 76% means? So 30 into 0.76 means. So out of 30, it is giving 23 examples correct. Out of 30, it is giving 23 examples correct. So you may ask, sir, what should I do if I want to increase my accuracy? Let us change the neighbors, number of neighbors. So here in this example, if I stick to the number of neighbors as 3, what is the label that has been predicted? Red. Am I right? If I stick to the number of neighbors as 5, what will be the label here? Green label. So there is a possibility of changing the accuracy when you change the number of neighbors. So here I am taking how many neighbors? 3 neighbors. Okay. So what I'll do is I want to identify which neighbors giving the which neighbor is giving the accuracy, best accuracy. For that, what you have to do is you have to write some code. Okay. Okay, let me explain about confusion matrix before going to this. Okay. Checking confusion matrix. I'll tell you what is this confusion matrix. Okay, this is your confusion matrix. What it means is actually you have training data set and testing data set, right? In the testing data set, you will going to check for accuracy. Am I right? For example, I have 30 examples in my testing data set. Okay. Now, you will pass this testing data set as the input for your model. Okay. Now, when you pass the testing data set to your model, it predicts some labels. It predicts some labels for that all the 30 examples. Now, what this confusion matrix will study is, it has 4 types of scenarios. One is true positives, false negatives, false positives, and true negatives. When this called as a true positive, for example, if you take one example, and its label is true, okay, and its actual label is true, and if your model also predicted it is true, then it is called as a true positive. Okay, what is the meaning of that? When the actual label is true and the label predicted by your model is also true, then it is called as a true positive. Are you following on that? Similarly, if your actual label is false and your model predicts also false, then it is called as a true negative. That's why these two are in green color. These two are in what? Green color. And if it happens oppositely, for example, the actual label is true, but your model is predicting it as a false, then it is called as a false negative. Then it is called as a false negative. Similarly, if your actual class label is false, but your model predicting it as a true, then it is what we call as a false positive. That's why false constraints are in red color and true constraints are in green color. From this, we can calculate accuracy like this, recall, precision, and F measure. All these can be done through some metrics. That is, all of you are clear about confusion matrix? Any doubts? Clear, all of you? Now let us see. I think Surya Manisha Janapamula, you are attending this class, attending it as a first class. I think that's why you don't know fit. What is fit function? We already discussed about fit in and the linear regression, and the training and testing data set also in linear regression. I think you are attending this class for the first time. I think fit means training the model. If you want to train the model, you have to use fit. Okay, now let us check the confusion matrix from sklearn.metrics. Import confusion matrix. Sorry. Confusion underscore matrix. Yes. Now I want to construct confusion matrix for testing data. Okay, that is will be done between y underscore test and predicted labels, right? Kn dot predict of x underscore test. Okay. Okay, this is what the confusion matrix is. So it has, I already told you how much. 76% means it is predicting 23 examples perfectly, right? 23 examples perfectly. There is a fault with 7 examples. That can be clearly given here. Okay, 7 and 23. These are the false labels and these are the true labels. 7 are the false labels and 23 are the true labels. Like that, you can measure the accuracy of your model. Okay. Now let us examine for what neighbors it gives the best accuracy. For that, what I will do is declare the required lists for accuracies. So what I want to do is I want to create an empty list for training accuracy and an empty list for testing accuracy and an empty list for number of neighbors. Okay. Now changing the number of neighbors and calculating the accuracy. So for that, what I will do is I want to run for loop in the range from 1 to 10, for example. I want to check up to 10 neighbors. So I want to first add this number of neighbors to my neighbor list. Okay, I'm appending I to my neighbors list. Now what I'll do is I'll create k neighbors classifiers for number of neighbors is equal to I. Okay, for number of neighbors is equal to I. Now I want to perform training with I number of neighbors on trained input and trained output. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to calculate the training accuracy. How can I calculate the training accuracy? Training accuracy, that append of knn dot score of x underscore train comma y underscore train. Okay, I'm calculating the training accuracy for I number of neighbors and I'm adding that accuracy to my training accuracy list. Okay. Similarly, I'll do the same for testing accuracy also. I want to calculate the testing accuracy for I number of neighbors and that calculated testing accuracy will be added to the testing accuracy list. Okay. Now what I'll do is I want to check how the training and testing accuracies are changing with respect to the change in the neighbors. That I want to check through graph. Training and testing accuracies. So PLT dot plot NP dot. So here you have to pass NumPy array for neighbors list and NumPy array for training accuracy list. You have to pass NumPy array, not the list. For if you want to plot the graph, it won't take the list as the input. You have to convert this as a NumPy array, and I want to color it as a blue. Similarly, I want to do the same for testing accuracy. I want to observe the testing accuracy with the change of number of neighbors. This time I want to give it as a red color. Now plt dot show. NIGB, right? NIGB. What it is saying? Same dimension. I already executed this code. Same what I have done there, the same thing. It's not nothing new. I don't know why it is not coming here. See, the same thing I have done. I don't why I'm not understanding why I'm not getting. See, changing the number of neighbors and calculating the neighbors. See here, blue color line will represent the training accuracy, and red color will represent the testing accuracy. Okay, if you want to still study the sustainability of the accuracy, you can increase the number of neighbors here. So this is how the training accuracy changes with the change of the neighbors, and this is how the testing accuracy changes with the change in the number of neighbors. Is it clear? All of you got the graph? Yes? Clear all of you? All of you got output? Please acknowledge through chat. What happened, Mohiddin? You're not, what you're saying, you're not getting the output. What output in the sense, you didn't get the graph. You didn't get the graph? Okay. I'll keep this screen for 5 minutes. Okay, type this code. Type this code in your Jupyter notebook. I'll keep this screen for 5 minutes. Okay. You copy this code and execute. Okay. Copy the code. Yeah, copy the code what now I'm presently displaying on the screen, and execute this code. Yeah. So here I'm creating the 3 lists in order to store training scores, testing scores, and number of neighbors. Why? Because as the number of neighbors are going to change, the accuracy will also change, right? So I want to store all the training accuracies by changing the number of neighbors here. Similarly, I want to store all the testing accuracy by changing the number of neighbors. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm running a for loop. I'm running a for loop from 1 to 20. I'm running a for loop from 1 to 20. Of course, 20 will not be included. The upper limit will not be included. So it works. It works for the number of neighbors that is from 1 to 19. Okay. So first, what I'm doing is I in range of 1 comma 20 means I is equal to 1 first. That 1 will be appended to your neighbors list. And with one neighbor, one closest neighbor, the model is going to create. After creation of the model with only one neighbor, it performs training of the model and it calculates training accuracy and testing accuracy. It will add to the respective lists. Similarly, I is implemented to 2. I is implemented to 2. So it appends 2 to the number of neighbors. Again, it will this time it will create the model with the number of neighbors as 2. Number of neighbors as 2. And again, it will performs the training and calculates the training accuracy and testing accuracy. So it will repeat the process from number of neighbors 1 to 19. Now I want to plot all those accuracies on the graph. That is my aim. So like this, the testing accuracy is going to be fluctuated. So which neighbor is got the highest accuracy means, I think number of neighbors will be 1. Okay, with the number of neighbors 1, it is giving the highest accuracy, highest testing accuracy and highest training accuracy. If you change the number of neighbors, the training accuracy is gradually decreasing and there is a lot of fluctuations in the testing accuracy. Okay. Is that clear? Yes, Nikita Marwada, is it clear? Any doubts? So we are keep on changing the number of neighbors and creating the respective model for it. And we are studying about the training and testing accuracy. Okay. So all of you got the graph this time? Yes, got the graph? So if anybody got the graph, please acknowledge through chat. Sanjay Kumar Dasari, good. Raja Mohiddin, good. Varra Prithviraj, very good, very good. So you understand? People understand about this, how the accuracies are changing by changing the number of neighbors? Yes? So now it is easy for us to check if you want to do any future prediction of the data. So now we can stick to the neighbors. Am I right? That means we will select the number of neighbors such a way that which gives best training accuracy and best testing accuracy. Those number of neighbors will be finalized, and these number of neighbors will be used for the future predictions. Future predictions. That means if you have a completely new data, and you are supposed to predict the labels, then you will fix to the best neighbors. Okay, is it clear? Now what I want to do, I want to give an assignment for you. I hope all of you copied the code, or anybody left? Anybody left? All of you copied the code and executed? Okay, shall I go to the assignment question? Okay, let me give you one assignment question. Okay, this is our data frame. This data frame constructed by us only. By taking the iris data separately and iris target separately, okay, we have integrated them as a single data frame, okay, using the above code. Is it clear, Bhargav Reddy? Okay. So now I want you to give a assignment question. Calculate, identify or identify, construct KNN model for iris data set by changing the number of neighbors from 1 to 30, sort the training and testing accuracies in the increasing in the decreasing order, and identify most frequently repeated training, frequently repeated testing accuracies along with the neighbors. This is the assignment question for you. I wanted to construct a KNN model for iris dataset by changing the number of neighbors from 1 to 30. Sort all these training and testing accuracies in the decreasing order and identify most frequently repeated testing accuracies along with neighbors. Okay. If you want to do it as a single assignment or two assignments, that is your wish. Assignment question is clear, all of you? Assignment question is clear. So let me give you the quiz. All of you click this link for the quiz in linear regression. All of you write this quiz. Okay. In the next class, we will do classification using GraphLab. Okay. For text classification. Text, I want to perform text classification and I want to perform some sentiment analysis. Demonstration will be done first, and then we'll implement it. We will implement the practical example. Okay. So in the next class, we will do sentiment analysis using GraphLab. Okay. All of you, please forward this message to your friends who are already out of this session. Okay. Then you can understand what is the advantage of GraphLab. How flexibly and how comfortably we can do some operations with the text data, okay, and perform sentiment analysis. Okay, very easy, very easy. It is not at all difficult. Okay, first some presentation will be there for half an hour, mostly half an hour or 40 minutes, and then we will implement a practical example. Yes, all of you with me? Yes or no? Acknowledge through chat. Okay, so very easy using by using GraphLab. Okay. So all of you write the exam. Shall we wind up the session? The link will be open up to 5 o'clock. Quiz 5 link will be open up to 5 o'clock. Okay. All of you attempt that. Okay. Shall we wind up the session? So the reference videos are, as I told you, the reference videos are available in our Dean Placement channel in YouTube. All the videos what I have delivered today, all the classes which I have delivered up to today are available in that channel. Okay. Of course, this video may not be available, but before this, all the videos are available in Dean Placement. Okay. If any pending videos are there, automatically they will be uploaded, no problem. Each and every class will be uploaded in that channel. Okay, if you want, you can take the reference from that channel. Okay, this is a live session. Thank you.